Hi, I'm Bill from CJ Pony Parts. We do a lot of 2015 Mustang videos, but one video we didn't plan on doing anytime soon was going to be a clutch replacement. We figured clutch is a part you're not going to replace immediately on your brand new car, but sometimes plans do change. In our case, the customer who owns his 2015 Mustang drove all the way from Houston, Texas for this year's Carlisle show. Found out the 850 horsepower this Hennessey's putting out is a bit too much for a stock clutch. So today we're going to show you how to replace the clutch using this 2015 Hennessey GT. This Hennessey GT is making 743 at the rear tire, so in my opinion there was only one clutch option. That's the McLeod RXT. The beauty of the RXT, it's a twin disc clutch. It uses two clutch discs that have ceramic composite material on them to give you power handling up to 1,000 horsepower. It give you a real factory style pedal. This high quality McLeod clutch is made in the USA and it's a work of art just sitting on our table. Remove the pressure plate and kind of show you how it works. You're going to have two discs and then a floater plate in the middle. This is our single disc here. The other one is going to go underneath here, and this will bolt to our flywheel. The twin disc setup, like I said, the benefit is it's going to have a stock feel. When this car is finished and you drive it, it's going to feel like it has a stock clutch, and it's not going to feel real heavy like a lot of high-performance clutches will, but again, it'll handle up to 1,000 horsepower. While we're at it, we're going to upgrade to a McLeod aluminum flywheel, a set of ARP flywheel bolts, and a stainless steel clutch line from Steeda. The owner of this Mustang is anxious to get back to Houston, so I'm going to have Arcade jump in to give me a hand with the installation, and we're going to show you the basics of how to swap out the clutch. He's going to start by disconnecting the battery. I'm going to jump inside and remove the shifter. Simply twist the knob off. Now we're moving on to the car. We're going to remove the drive shaft. First, remove the exhaust. It's so easy to take off the 15. It will give us more room for the drive shaft. Arcade is loosening the rear bracket for the drive shaft. I'm going to disconnect from the transmission. They're going to remove the partial driver's side and the entire passenger side cat pipe to give us some more room. The bolts for the right side cat pipe are easier to get from under the hood. Okay, now with the pipe out of the way, we're going to take the starter off next so we can start working on the bell housing bolts. Arcade's going to pull off the oxygen sensors, and I'm going to start with the bell housing bolts. Transmission supported, we can remove the bolts for the cross member. Make sure before you try to pull the trans down, disconnect any wiring harnesses that are attached to it that aren't coming with it. Now we're going to remove the 10mm bolt that holds the front of the shifter arm to the transmission. Once you remove the bar, then you can actually pull the shifter down out of the way. It'll come out with the transmission. Before we can pull the trans down and get the rest of the bell housing bolts off, we're going to remove the clutch fluid line. Be held in place by a little clip. You pop the clip out and remove the line. Now we can carefully pry and separate the transmission from the engine. Tran's out, now we can take the clutch bolts out. With the clutch off, now we can pull off the flywheel since we're going to replace that with the McLeod aluminum. While we're in here, we're going to remove our factory rubber clutch line, replace it with this stainless steel line from Steeda. This is an excellent upgrade even for a stock Mustang. With a high-performance clutch and high-performance car like this, is an excellent upgrade overall. We already disconnected the clutch line on the transmission side when we removed it. The line up here under the engine bay, this little metal clip right here. What you basically want to do is get a small pick underneath it, pop that clip off, and remove the line. Put your clip back in, just pop it in place. And now we can move under the car. We already hammered the supply dowels into place on our McLeod flywheel, so we're ready to put it up on the car. Make sure you get all the bolt holes lined up. There's a couple spots where it'll look like it's right, but it isn't. But one just to hold it in place now and prep all the bolts for installation. On each bolt you install, you want to grab some 242 thread locker, put some on the threads, then take some of this applied assembled lubricant from ARP and put this on the base, basically the head of the bolt. Do that little thread locker on each bolt before you install it. We're gonna get all the bolts tight, and then we're gonna snug to 70 foot-pounds of torque. Before we can torque them down, you have to actually hold the engine from spinning. There's a couple ways to do it. You can install some clutch bolts and kind of do it with a pry bar. In our case, since I had help, RK is actually gonna hold the crank pulley. That way I can tighten them back here. And when you torque these down, you wanna go in a star pattern. So go up and keep going across like this. Don't just work your way around the outside. Now grab the floater plate, make sure you grab the disc labeled bottom, grab your alignment tool, make sure that is facing the flywheel side, and put this up into place. I use the supplied hardware to connect the floater plate to our flywheel. For now, just get them snug before we torque them to spec. Now we're going to torque these bolts down. The factory torque spec for the flywheel is going to be 35 foot-pound plus a 60-degree turn, which a lot of people aren't going to be able to do. We looked at the specs on this actual ARP bolt, and it's 54 foot-pound, which we checked is just about the exact same. At this point, you want to spin this, make sure the disc moves freely and doesn't bind up anywhere. If it doesn't move, there's an issue. You want to take it back apart, make sure you did everything right, and if you did, contact McLeod, they can help you out with that. Now we can install the pressure plate and top disc. In addition to the floater straps, make sure this line painted here also lines up. Make sure the alignment tool goes all the way through both discs into your pilot bushing, or it's not going to line up when the transmission goes back in. Once everything is lined up, we can install the washers, lock nuts, and nuts. We're going to start by tightening them again in a star pattern to 25 foot-pounds. Now you want to check at this point to see if the fingers of the diaphragm are below this outside edge here. They're right on it, so now we're going to torque same pattern to 35 foot-pounds. Okay, make sure you got proper clearance. Okay, now we're good. It's almost a shame to cover up something so pretty, but now it's time to remove the alignment tool, put the transmission back up into place. Once you have the trans seated properly, reinstall the transmission bolts, then you can push it up into place, install the cross member, the starter, and everything else we removed. One thing about getting the transmission back into place, don't force it. Whatever you do, you don't want to try to use the bolts to draw it in. If it doesn't line up properly, pull the trans back out, put the alignment tool back in, loosen the clutch, make sure it's aligned properly. Once you have it right, it'll go in pretty easily. Make sure you don't have any major kinks in your clutch line. You can tie it up out of the way with one of the supplied zip ties. We're going to bleed the clutch next, so before we do it, we're going to top off the fluid because we did lose some when we removed our factory clutch line. Once you get everything back together, bleeding the clutch is as simple as just pressing it a whole bunch of times until you start getting a clutch pedal. First couple times you may have to actually pull it back up with your foot, but eventually it'll spring back up. When I say a whole bunch of times, it could literally take you about 100 pumps till you start getting a pedal back. Especially in our case, since you changed the line, we did lose some fluid. Once everything's good, now we can reinstall our shifter. sure you don't forget the lock and the reverse mechanism. We'll check everything and reinstall the front panel, and finally, last step, reinstall the shift knob. Installation's finished, you're ready to take it for a test drive. The first thing you'll notice when driving the car with the McLeod RXT installed is the pedal feel. It is every bit as light as the stock clutch. In the case of this car, the clutch was pretty jacked up when it came in, so the clutch was real heavy. This is light. I mean, it feels just like driving my car with the stock clutch in it. Couldn't tell it's a non-stock clutch. There is a possibility you might get a little bit of chatter during braking. That's perfectly normal. It'll go away after probably about 100 miles. Speaking of which, I'd love to sample what this car can actually do, but with any new clutch like this, you definitely want to give it at least 100 miles, if not a little bit more of break-in, specifically stop and go traffic, before you really get on it. But the pedal feels beautiful. Like I said, it's hard to describe. It's amazing. You know, if you come from a cable clutch kind of thing where you're used to, like, okay, you want something that takes a lot of power, it's going to be a heavy leg, not with a twin disc. Now, knowing I got a clutch in this car that'll hold 1,000 horsepower, and it feels soft enough that's like a freaking Focus clutch. It's unbelievable. But as you're driving during break-in, go through the gears, you know, shift more than you probably normally would, because the more shifts you get and the quicker you get the miles on it, the more you can actually let it rip. The installation overall isn't too bad. If you've ever done a clutch in an older style Mustang, there's no reason you can't handle doing one on a brand new car like our 2015 here. You'll need basic hand tools. You know, lift would definitely be easier, but you can do it on jack and jack stands as long as you have an extra jack to hold the transmission up. For the entire installation, I'd say give yourself at least 6 to 8 hours. You'll be back on the road in no time.